Okay, good morning, folks. This is Mike coming at you with yet another video on Intro to Algebra. This video is a continuation of our previous video when we talked about factoring trinomials. We're going to continue talking about that particular topic. So sometimes we need to pull out the GCF from each term in a polynomial, and then what is left over is a trinomial that we can factor, something like we just did up top here. So for example here, 3x to the fifth minus 18 times x to the fourth plus 24x cubed. You know, we did the factoring here with x squared, x, and then a constant. Here we have some larger powers of x, but perhaps we can pull out the greatest common factor and then have what's left over look something like that. So let's see what happens. Let's figure out the GCF of these three terms. So first we need the GCF of the numbers in front, the 3, 8, and 14. Well, if you list out all the factors, or if you break each one down into prime factored form, you'll find that the greatest common factor is 3. So that's the GCF of the coefficients, or the numbers in front. Now the GCF of the variables. Each term does contain an x, so the x will show up in the GCF. What's the smallest exponent on the x between these terms? It's that power of 3. So the GCF is 3x cubed. Let's see what we get when we divide our polynomial by our GCF. So 3x to the fifth minus 18x to the fourth plus 24x cubed divided by 3x cubed. This will give me 3x to the fifth divided by 3x cubed gives me x squared, minus 18x to the fourth divided by 3x cubed gives me 6x, and then plus 24x cubed divided by 3x cubed gives me plus 8. So I can say that this thing here equals 3x cubed, my GCF, times this thing here, x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay, well, let's see if we can break this thing down. Let's see if we can factor this thing. Each one has an x. And now I need numbers that will multiply to positive 8 and will add to negative 6. Okay, so if we start to think of numbers that multiply to 8, 1 and 8, 2 and 4, the fact that they add to a negative number means that at least one of those numbers is going to have to be negative, and specifically both of them are going to have to be. So when you think about it, the numbers that work are negative 2 and negative 4. Those numbers multiply to positive 8, and they add to negative 6. So you have 3x cubed times x minus 2 times x minus 4. Next one here, x to the seventh minus 10x to the sixth minus 24x to the fifth. So again, let's find that GCF. The numbers in front are 1, 10, and 24. The GCF of 1, 10, and 24 is going to be 1. And then the variables, each term does contain a variable. So the GCF will contain that variable. What's the exponent going to be? It's going to be the smallest exponent, which is that 5. So the GCF is 1 times x to the 5th, or just x to the 5th. All right, divide the given polynomial by that GCF. And you get x squared minus 10x minus 24. And now we can write this as x to the 5th times this thing here. But let's see if we can factor this thing out. Let's see if we can break that down. So I have an x and I have an x. I need numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to a negative 10. So again, the fact that I'm multiplying numbers to get a negative number means that one number has to be positive and the other one has to be negative. So we'll put a plus in one spot and a minus in the other. So now we think of, the factors of 24, and where do I have to put the proper factors to have the numbers add up to negative 10? So 1 and 24 don't work. If you try 2 and 12, that will work if you put the 2 next to the plus and the 12 next to the minus. So we have x to the 5th times x plus 2 times x minus 12. Moving on to the next one here. Negative x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x. Again, let's find that GCF. The numbers in front are 1, 5, and 4. The GCF of 1, 5, and 4 is 1. And the variable is going to show up in the GCF because each term has the variable. What's the exponent going to be on that variable? Well, it's going to be the smallest exponent, which is 1. Now, we come to the situation once again where our leading term has a minus sign in front of it. We don't want to see that. We don't want to have to work with that. We don't want to see a minus sign in front of the leading term. So we are going to pull that minus sign out. We're going to include that minus sign in our GCF. So it's actually not positive 1 times x to the first power. It's actually minus 1, or minus x raised to the first power, or just minus x. So I'll divide my polynomial by that GCF, the minus x. So negative x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x divided by minus x. And that gives me negative x cubed divided by negative x gives me a positive x squared. Negative 5x squared divided by negative x gives me a plus 5x. And then negative 4x divided by negative x gives me a plus 4. And now let's see if we can factor this trinomial further. X and x. I need numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add up to positive 5. Shouldn't take you too long to figure out that the numbers you're looking for are positive 4 and positive 1. So plus 4 and plus 1. And there you go. It is totally factored now. So guys, that is it for section 5.2. This wraps up our section on factoring those nice, easy trinomials. In the next video, we're going to talk about some methods you can use to factor some not as nice trinomials. So if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to reach out to me, guys. Emails, stop into my office hours, stop into my tutoring hours, leave voicemails on my office phone, rocks through windows, carrier, pigeons, signs flying on the backs of planes. Whatever you have to do. Until the next video, take it easy, guys.